Hopefully you had a chance to watch my first video, Exam Analysis Part 1. In Part 2, we're going to talk a little bit about how to interpret the exam analysis tool, right? So we've gone over our exam, we've kind of categorized the mistakes that we've made, and now we're going to figure out what that information tells us. And so this is a copy of the exam analysis tool that can be found online. Basically the way it works is if you're making a lot of the same kinds of mistakes, if you look through all of the questions you got wrong and all of them fall into one category, that probably means that you have a weakness in that category, and that's something that you can work on to do better in the future. So for example, if you're finding that a lot of the questions that you get wrong are things that you misread, or did you answer too quickly, or you didn't follow directions, you missed a detail in the question, you bubbled wrong, you didn't check over the exam, any of those things, if you're making those kinds of mistakes over and over again, you're probably making a lot of careless mistakes. That's your problem. The solution to that is to work on your test taking skills. And so that includes things like annotating your tests, highlighting, underlining, writing notes in the margin of your exams to try to anchor your thinking. Take your time during the test, practice reading carefully, and working to develop test-taking strategies that work for you. So in order to benefit this, there are videos and there are workshops online. You can also schedule appointments with academic coaches here at Study Lab to work on those test-taking skills. A next group of things that you could potentially be getting wrong a lot, things like my notes weren't an accurate representation of what was on the exam, or I blanked on this question, or other things like I didn't know this term, I had to guess, I didn't study that lecture. These are content problems. So the solution to that is to change what you're studying. You're walking into the exam and you don't have the knowledge in your head to answer the questions. You need to study that information. Perhaps you missed it. And so that thing needs to improve things like taking notes. Maybe you need to do more homework and practice questions. Making sure that you know the important terms and definitions. I'm not a huge fan of flashcards because they don't count as an active study strategy, but if it's a very vocabulary heavy class, flashcards might be a very helpful thing for you. There's also a technique called brain dumping where you write down memorization-based things, just right on that first page of the test so that you don't have to worry about remembering them later. I do want to add a caveat. If you're finding that you're blanking on a lot of questions during the exam and you know that information, you know that it's in your head, you know that you studied it, but it's just not coming to the front of your mind right now, you might have issues with test anxiety. That's something that happens to a ton of students. The Counseling Center does have resources to help with that, and that's definitely something that you should pursue because you don't want to be losing points on information that you know. That's not something that we want to be happening. And so then a third category, what if you have a lot of problems with, I studied this for memorization, not application, or I totally misunderstood this concept. I knew the content, but I didn't understand it correctly. Or you weren't confident about your answer, or other things like I knew this term, but I don't understand how it relates to the question. Or maybe something like I don't remember talking about this in class. My teacher didn't teach me this. A lot of times students have trouble when they transition to college level courses because college level exams require a lot of application. And so you're gonna see novel problems. You're gonna see new things that you didn't talk about in lecture, and you're gonna need to take your knowledge and apply it to that. And so if you're having trouble with all of these things, you're having a problem with how you're studying. And so the solution to that is to develop active study strategies. So these are the most difficult but the most valuable skills to develop if you don't have them already. Things like explaining the concepts out loud, talking to friends and teaching friends, breaking the system or the diagram, making analogies between the content and the real world, doing practice questions in an exam setting. All of these are active study strategies that can help you to make sure that you truly understand the material before you walk into a test. And again, there are lots of resources available at Study Lab to help you develop these skills, especially academic coaching and things like that. So hopefully you guys found this helpful. Good luck on all your exams in the future. Make sure you use your resources. Again, Study Lab, there's all kinds of stuff going on. You also have TAs and professors, and they can help you with a lot of the content stuff.